It is Y105, number one for all the hits. I'm Steve Pulaski. My next guest is calling it right now. 2024 is the year of the entrepreneur. Barbara Corcoran is launching Barbara in Your Pocket, a Patreon community with exclusive content created for entrepreneurs at every level. She will deep dive into the topics most important in business today, join members live to answer their toughest questions, and more. Of course, you know her as one of the sharks on Shark Tank. She is Barbara Corcoran. Barbara, how are you?
What a big introduction. I love it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for joining me, Barbara. Super excited to talk to you. First things first, what gave you the idea to create Barbara in Your Pocket?
I was spending probably 5-6 hours a day randomly on calls with fans, with nice people, with friends of friends, all starting their businesses, all running into an obstacle. Most of them were the same obstacles again and again, and I couldn't answer everything, and I felt almost mean by turning somebody away. Then I realized, I could create a platform where I give the information, they repeat themselves, the topics that people most struggle with, and I could help a ton of people all at once, and that's it. It was an efficiency play in an attempt to help people. That's what I was thinking.
What can entrepreneurs or entrepreneurial hopefuls gain from this program?
Confidence. You might not think confidence has a lot to do with success, but I think it's more than 50% of it. So when someone's even on the right track, they second-guess themselves if they don't get their success as fast as they envision, and every entrepreneur thinks it's going to happen easily. I'm there to tell them, you're experiencing the exact same thing I experienced. You're experiencing the exact same thing everybody else. You have a right to be there. You have a right to be rich. You have a right to be successful. You have a right to claim this space. Stay with it. You've only been with it 2 years. Usually people run into slumps where they think, oh, gosh, what am I doing? It's just not worth it. I make sure they stay with it. Because people tend to quit right before they're going to find the right girl to date. You know what I mean? So I really push them to stay with that business and get them over issues like cash flow problems. People think it's just them who has mismanaged money. Everybody has cash flow problems. So now let's think of what we could do about it. Brainstorming is a big part of business. And people who start businesses tend to do it on their own, and they don't expect the loneliness they're going to feel where they are their own advisor quietly in a room all by themselves. So I jump into their pocket and give them the advice they need. I think it's a very needed, efficient system, too.
This is available on Barbara Corcoran's Patreon account. Again, it is called Barbara in Your Pocket. Do you have any inclination? Why do you think 2024 is going to be the year of the entrepreneur, Barbara?
Because there's so much new opportunity for people who will think differently. People who came through the terrible 4 years we've all come through, particularly larger businesses who own their piece of the turf, didn't change. Young entrepreneurs, people are willing to try anything, and the world is open to it. Everybody wants their food delivered now. Everyone wants every service immediate, and the bigger companies cannot do that very often, or they don't think it's a necessity. A young kid trying to grab their turf thinks of everything. And so I think the little guy always has the corner on the big guy in bad times, and we've just come through bad times, and the world is open to everything. I just think it's a great year for entrepreneurs.
I love that insight. She is Barbara Corcoran, of course, famous for Shark Tank, which is currently in the middle of its 15th season. What has Shark Tank's enduring success and impact taught you as a businesswoman over the years?
To focus on an entrepreneur when you buy a business, to realize that businesses don't work unless the right person is at the head inspiring everybody and making the right calls with a good business judgment. Or it's taught me that business plans mean crap, honestly. They only get you out the gate, and you feel good about writing them. Very often people take too long to write them when they should be out in the street selling. It's taught me that the importance of having a prototype and going out to market, just asking people on the street, the audience you hope to sell to you, hey, how do you like this? Would you pay this much money? People don't do that. I realized that it's the entrepreneur that makes all the difference. And you know what else I've learned? More importantly, I should have started here. I'm sorry to be long-winded on this one, but I've learned that the difference between my great entrepreneurs and everything else is only one thing. In the end, it comes down to the same old all the time. It's the ability to get back up and not feel sorry for yourself. Most people take a long time licking their wounds. Great entrepreneurs think, I'll take the responsibility. Even if it wasn't my fault, let's get going. It's a different attitude, and they're ambitious. They just want to get there. They have the ambition in their gut. And you can't teach that kind of stuff. That's the only thing I can teach on Barbara in the Pocket is ambition. If you don't have it, But if you got it and you bring it my way, I'll take that ambition and I'll make hay with it and make sure you get to where you want to go.
I love it. Is there a specific company that you maybe regret not investing in or not closing a deal on that came through the doors on Shark Tank?
You know, there have been dozens where I've been green with envy after someone else snatched it up. And I think, man, I should have grabbed that business. And then 1 minute later, I forget it, and I never remember it again in my life. I move on. I just have that ability to, shelter myself against mistakes or admitting them. But what's great about Shark Tank is the door opens and then what do we have here is another business I never heard of. So there's so much opportunity. It's a waste of time to be regretting what you didn't buy. I hope my fellow sharks do terrible on the ones I miss.
I was going to say, too, I think maybe like selective amnesia is probably a good trait to have in an entrepreneur.
That's probably what you call it. Yep, I agree with you.
I read that for your 70th birthday a few years ago, you held a mock funeral for yourself. Number one, that's amazing. I might steal that idea in the future. Number two, though, what was the motivation behind that, Barbara?
Well, you got to believe you're calling it a mock funeral, but everybody who attended that funeral thought I was dead. And that's what was so much fun about it. To be laid out in a coffin and invite people to my birthday party, surprise party, and my friends were planning to surprise me. But I had them walk downstairs to my living room, walk right in, and it was a funeral parlor. From top to bottom, it was a funeral parlor. And I was laying dead in the coffin. They were so shocked. I was afraid my friends were going to have a heart attack. Some of them are pretty old now, you know. But none of them had a heart attack. And when I jumped out of the coffin and was alive, it was hysterical. It was probably the best party I ever gave. It was so much fun to pull something off on everybody.
Usually you hear about toasts and stuff at parties and birthdays and stuff. Did you get any memorable eulogies?
I had a fake minister there, and I had a fake rabbi there, and they both gave eulogies. And you know who I was most disappointed in? My 11-year-old daughter, who asked one question, but what's in the will? Where can I get our money? She was the only one who had her eye on the ball. Everybody, you know, not many people get to bury themselves or kill themselves and hear what people in the room say about them. People really said nice things. I mean, I'm not afraid of dying anymore. I already heard everything, so whenever it's time, I'm going to just check out quietly.
She is Barbara Corcoran. One more question for you, Barbara. What is the most common mistake young and or first-time entrepreneurs make in your eyes, and how can they avoid it?
Honestly, in their gut, they don't believe truly that they have the right to be there. You know, whatever's in their background, I suffered from it as well. You know, I was a poor kid. My parents had nothing. My relatives had nothing. And the idea that I had a dream of being the queen of real estate and being wealthy and rich and people coming to me, I felt guilty about it for probably the first 7 or 8 years. It held me back. And I find with my young entrepreneurs on Barbara in Your Pocket, they suffer from the same thing. They say, oh, I want to, but they don't feel like you have the real right. And so it holds them back in their stomach. I convince them everybody's got a right to be rich. There's no shame in that. Everybody's got a right to make jobs for a lot of people, to dream about things, to paint the walls whatever colors, not to have a boss telling you what to do. You have a right. You have that right. If you have the gift to create it, it's a shame you don't create it. It's a sin you don't go forward, you know? So I have to convince people, believe it or not, of the words they say that they don't really mean. I could tell the difference, and I call it out. I call it out as bullshit you don't really believe. And you want to know what they get from that power, self-power. And that is really the number one mistake people make, but they don't acknowledge it at first, but they make it all the time.
Build the confidence, combat the imposter syndrome. Barbara in Your Pocket on Barbara Corcoran's Patreon page. I'm going to give you the final word, Barbara, to promote Barbara in Your Pocket. Where can people go to get this invaluable advice?
BarbaraCorcoran.com. Easy. Sign up. No problem. I'm waiting for you, baby.
Barbara, it's a true pleasure. I look forward to watching you in Shark Tank, and I look forward to checking out Barbara in Your Pocket. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you very much.